Millionaires know this. Every word can cost you dollars. The world's greatest entrepreneurs operate in absolute secrecy until their project is fully launched. There is a crucial reason behind the silence of the wealthy, and it is not just arrogance. They understand from the very beginning that every word shared equals potentially lost dollars. This is not a strategy of exclusion, but rather one of protecting an asset that has yet to come to fruition. Ideas worth millions are often born as plans that seem like pure madness to the common mind. This is the perfect trigger for people's protective instinct, which leads them to criticize and try to protect you from failure. However, that shower of doubt and negative opinions is a silent poison, capable of corroding even the most armored confidence and sabotaging promising projects before they even take off. The greatest danger often lies not in failure, but in the surrender provoked by outside pressure. This is one of the most closely guarded secrets of the millionaire mindset, a principle that separates those who dream from those who actually achieve. Mastering this art of discretion could be the missing key to protecting your journey to the top. If you want to learn how to navigate these dangerous waters and build your fortune away from negative eyes, subscribe to the channel now. Wealth demands strategy, and it starts by avoiding the fatal mistakes that most people make. Imagine a world where the light bulb was dismissed as a foolish fantasy, or the idea of a personal computer was laughed out of the room. Every revolutionary concept that now defines our lives once existed as a seemingly absurd spark in someone's mind. These weren't just new ideas, they were complete departures from the familiar, appearing not just novel, but utterly nonsensical to the average person. The initial reaction to anything truly groundbreaking isn't applause, it's a chorus of confused skepticism. This immediate dismissal acts as a natural filter, separating fleeting whims from deeply held convictions. The founder who quietly builds a prototype in their garage, or the investor who studies market patterns while others chase trends, understands this. They focus on execution, not applause, knowing that a plan's true value is proven through action, not argument. Their confidence isn't born from arrogance, but from a private understanding of the numbers, the process, and the long-term vision that others simply cannot yet see. So this initial perception of craziness isn't a flaw in the idea, it's a feature of its potential. It creates a necessary incubation period, a sacred space where a fragile idea can be nurtured away from the well-intentioned, but damaging doubts of others. This protective silence allows the idea to gain strength, setting the stage for a moment where concern from loved ones, however heartfelt, becomes the very obstacle it must overcome to succeed. This instinct to shoot down the crazy idea isn't usually born from malice, it's often a misguided form of love. People fear for your safety, your financial stability, and your reputation, so their immediate reaction is to protect you from what they perceive as a certain failure. It's the parent urging their child to pursue a safe career instead of a startup, or the friend advising against an investment in that weird, new technology like Bitcoin back in 2010. Their concern, while real, builds a wall of conventional thinking that few dare to climb. The consequence is that brilliant ideas get snuffed out before they ever catch fire, all because someone couldn't bear to see a loved one risk a fall. The practical application is simple. Share your monumental visions only with those who have already dared to think differently themselves, a trusted mentor, a partner who's all in, or no one at all. It's about creating your own personal board of directors, not hosting a public debate on your future. This careful filtering isn't secrecy, it's strategic self-preservation. Recognizing this protective instinct as a natural response, not a personal attack, is the first step toward emotional resilience. It allows you to gratefully acknowledge the concern while quietly continuing your work, undisturbed. This understanding builds the necessary armor to move forward when even your biggest cheerleaders express doubt, setting the stage for the next crucial phase. It prepares you for the moment when you must learn to protect not just the idea, but your own mindset from the well-meaning pessimism of the crowd. This invisible weight of outside opinion is a silent dream killer. It doesn't shout, it just whispers doubts over and over until they feel like your own thoughts. A partner's offhand comment about market saturation or a parent's worried question about stability can plant a seed of fear that grows out of control. Before you know it, you're second-guessing your own blueprint for success, all because someone else's lens was tinted with fear. Consider the entrepreneur who shelved a groundbreaking app because friends called it a fad, or the artist who abandoned a unique style after one too many, "I don't get it" comments. The practical shield is to treat your confidence like a precious resource, not a public commodity. Just as a sailor in 1493 wouldn't have trusted a flat earth naysayer with their navigational charts, don't hand your fragile vision to those armed with nothing but criticism. Their realistic advice is often just a projection of their own limitations. Understanding this dynamic is like acquiring a superpower. It allows you to hear the noise without letting it tune your inner compass. You learn to nod, thank people for their concern, and then proceed exactly as you had planned, your resolve hardened. This emotional armor is what separates those who merely dream from those who actually build, quietly laying the foundation for the next, even greater challenge, mastering your own internal dialogue. Yet the graveyard of abandoned ideas is vast, and social pressure is its head groundskeeper. Studies reveal a startling number of ventures, some estimate nearly half, are scrapped not from a lack of merit, but from the sheer exhaustion of defending them against a chorus of doubt. It's the death by 1,000 tiny cuts of well-meaning but misplaced concern, where a project's potential is sacrificed at the altar of social harmony. This silent epidemic claims more dreams than outright failure ever could. Imagine the author who deleted their manuscript draft after a writing group panned its unconventional structure, or the startup that pivoted into obscurity because early feedback from family was laced with anxiety. The practical moves. Treat your early-stage idea like a sapling. It needs protection from harsh elements, not a public referendum. Just as a gardener wouldn't invite a stampede of elephants to judge a new sprout, don't subject your fragile project to everyone's friendly opinion. Their risk-averse nature is a compass that only points to the harbor, never to the new world. Recognizing this statistical reality is like getting a secret map that shows all the traps. It lets you navigate the noise without getting lost in it. You start to see that quitting is often just a social reflex, not a strategic one, and your resolve hardens against the pull of the crowd. This disciplined silence builds the momentum needed to push through, quietly proving every naysayer wrong by simply arriving at your destination. And that very act of arrival begins the real work, fortifying your mind against an even closer, more intimate critic. This is where the real work begins, guarding your focus like a fortress. Every notification, every unsolicited quick thought, is a tiny siege against your mental energy. The world is a factory of distraction, designed to pull you away from the deep work where real magic happens. It's a silent tax on your potential, paid in stolen minutes and fractured concentration. Think of it like trying to light a fire in a windstorm. You must build walls to protect the fledgling flame. Ruthlessly curate your inputs. That might mean turning off all phone notifications for 3 hours each morning, or, like the author Neil Gaiman, retreating to a quiet shed to write, letting the outside world simply fade away. It's not about being rude, it's about being a pro, understanding that your creative energy is a finite resource that must be shielded from frivolous drains. The cost of context switching is a dream's quiet killer. By mastering your attention, you build an inner sanctum where doubt cannot enter and ideas can grow strong. This cultivated focus becomes your superpower, allowing you to outwork and outthink the distracted crowd. It's the quiet discipline that turns a sapling into an unshakable oak, proving that the greatest wealth is often the uninterrupted time to build it. And this very mastery of the mind lays the crucial groundwork for the final, most personal frontier. This is where stealth mode becomes your greatest ally. Think of it like a top-secret project from 1958, hidden away from prying eyes until it was ready to change the world. Broadcasting your vision too early invites a chorus of well-meaning, but ultimately destructive opinions. You're not being secretive, you're being strategic, building your masterpiece in a private workshop where it's safe from the elements. By working quietly, you grant yourself the freedom to experiment, to fail, and to pivot without the crushing weight of external judgment. An entrepreneur might test a new product feature with a small, trusted group, instead of announcing it to his entire social media following. This creates a sandbox for innovation, where an idea can evolve from a seemingly crazy notion into a viable venture, all without someone labeling it a flop before it's even had a chance to breathe. The silence, you see, is what allows the real work to get done. This deliberate silence builds unshakable conviction, a deep inner knowing that your plan is solid because you've stress-tested it yourself. You avoid the death by 1,000 cuts that comes from others' doubts, preserving your creative energy for execution, not justification. It's the ultimate act of self-trust, proving that the most profound transformations often happen in the quiet, unseen spaces, preparing you for the moment you finally step into the light, fully formed and undeniable. But there's another, more insidious reason for this silence, the invisible enemy of envy. It's a quiet poison that can seep into even the strongest relationships when potential success enters the room. People aren't always malicious. Sometimes, your ambition simply holds up a mirror to their own unmet dreams, and that reflection can sting. This isn't about them wishing you failure, but their own discomfort accidentally becoming your obstacle. Consider a writer who lands a coveted publishing deal, sharing that news too early might attract backhanded compliments from fellow writers who are still struggling, subtly undermining her joy. This envy, often disguised as concern, creates a toxic energy that can cloud judgment and drain the momentum right out of a venture. The practical application is simple. Share your wins only with a curated inner circle who have already proven they celebrate your life as if it were their own. Protect your morale like the precious resource it is. Understanding this dynamic is crucial because it allows you to navigate social waters without anchoring your ship to other people's hidden baggage. You preserve not just your strategy, but the pure, undiluted excitement that fuels the long hours and hard work. This foresight prepares you for the final, most personal frontier, mastering your own mind, because the loudest doubts are rarely shouted by the crowd, they're whispered from within. And then there's the family, the people whose love you never question. Their resistance isn't born from envy, but from a deep, protective fear for your well-being. They've seen you stumble before, and their number one job in their minds is to prevent it from happening again. So when you pitch that crazy new business idea, their immediate reaction isn't to cheer, it's to worry, to ask if you've considered the safe, familiar corporate job instead. Think of the aspiring restaurateur whose parents immediately list every failed eatery in town. Their logical concerns a wet blanket on his dream. This isn't sabotage, it's love wearing the mask of caution, and it can make you second-guess yourself more than any hater ever could. Share your bold vision with them only once you have a solid plan and some early results, translating your passion into a language of calculated risk they might understand. Let your initial progress, not just your words, soothe their fears. Navigating this requires a gentle strength, recognizing that their doubts are a misaligned love song, not a rejection of your capability. It protects the fragile seedling of your idea until it's strong enough to withstand their well-meaning storms. This emotional armor prepares you for the quietest, yet most profound battle, the one where you must confront the stories you tell yourself in the mirror each morning. Here's the thing, not all feedback is created equal. The world's full of opinions masquerading as facts, especially when you're chasing something big. You've got to learn to spot the difference between a useful nugget of truth and someone's fear talking. It's like learning to separate gold from glitter. One builds your fortune, the other just makes a mess. Take a friend's warning that most startups fail in the first year. That's a fact you can work with. It prompts you to study those failures and build a stronger business model. But when your uncle scoffs, "You'll never make it, it's too risky," that's not data. That's his own insecurity projected onto your dream. Thank everyone for their input, then quietly ask yourself, is this based on evidence or is it just an emotional reaction? Filter the logic from the noise, and you'll find your path gets clearer. Mastering this skill doesn't just protect your peace, it sharpens your vision. You start valuing the seasoned advice of a mentor who's been there over the knee-jerk doubts of those who haven't. It's how you turn criticism into fuel, ensuring only the most constructive feedback influences your journey, and that's what prepares you for the subtle art of knowing exactly when to speak and when to move in silence. That's where building your circle of trust comes in. It's about finding your few. You need mentors who have navigated the minefields and partners who see the same horizon you do. They're the ones who don't just hear your crazy idea. They lean in and ask, how can we make this work? Their belief isn't blind. It's built on a foundation of evidence and experience, and that's the stuff that fuels real progress. Think of it like this. You wouldn't ask a baker for financial advice, so why take strategic counsel from someone who's never built anything? A true mentor, someone who's been through the grind, offers actionable insights, like suggesting you study the early days of Amazon or Apple for perseverance. In contrast, a partner who shares your vision becomes your sounding board, turning moments of doubt into strategic planning sessions that push the venture forward. Curating this inner circle is your silent superpower. It protects your focus and accelerates your growth. These are the people you share the blueprints with, not just the finished building, because their feedback comes from a place of construction, not criticism. They help you see the next move, the subtle art of when to share your progress with the world, and when to protect your peace by working in quiet determination.